And welcome to Legal Affairs. My name is Diamond Liddy, and I'm the public defender of the 19th Judicial Circuit. We are going to travel through a wonderful life story that I hope gives inspiration to everyone and tells a beautiful success story. And with us is Raul Maurice. Welcome, Raul. How are you?
I'm good, Diamond. Thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, no, this is great. We are going to start now from the very beginning, okay? The audience needs to know, give us your are you a native Floridian? Were you raised in this area? What's the scoop?
Born in Connecticut, and we moved to St. Lucie County when I was 5 years old.
Okay.
And grew up in the Treasure Coast, and went to high school, had a really normal life. And at one point in my life, I started making some bad decisions.
Okay, and let's talk about that. How old were you when that happened?
So for myself, I'm a person that's in recovery. I'm celebrating 7 years coming up in 2024.
Yay!
Yeah, thank you. And I mean, my first bad decision for me, now identifying as an addict and alcoholic, was even picking up the first one, right? I didn't realize what it would turn into. 20 years later, what full-blown addiction would look like for me. But bad decisions started as an adolescent,
Like teenager or before that? Or?
I remember having my first drink and when I was about 16.
Wow,
And, I felt like I had arrived. I felt like I was accepted. All my confidence showed up at the same time. And but I'm not normal. I can't drink like normal people do. I didn't drink like my peers did. I was the blackout drinker. I was the one that did too much and didn't recognize what it would involve into. So, but those decisions started coming up with some legal consequences later on down the road, and just more bad decisions. As alcohol transforms into harder core drugs, I became very addicted to pills, and then also began selling them in St. Lucie County to perpetuate my addiction. So. Eventually that led to some arrests. And
when was your first arrest, Raul?
So I was 33 years old, and it was quite a large investigation. I had 45 co-defendants, and it was Operation Spring Cleaning.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a real wake-up call for me that I hadn't been living my life right. And I was sentenced to some probation and some jail time. And when I was released, I was not really set up for changing my lifestyle. So I returned to the same lifestyle, and my addiction perpetuated. It progressed. It got even worse.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. So then what happened? Did you get rearrested?
Yes. Yep. I got rearrested in 2017. I look back in hindsight, and I don't even call it an arrest anymore. I call it a rescue. Where I live spiritually, I realized that nothing could stop me except an arrest. I was the type of addict that didn't consider treatment, didn't think detox. I thought that my life was just doomed. I was very hopeless, and I just felt like there was really no way to fix what I had done to myself.
Right.
I woke up every day and just lived to use. And the arrest is what would stop me. The only time I ever got sober was in incarceration. And I realized that I needed to stop and reflect. Instead of thinking about when I was going to get released, I started turning towards just thinking of what I needed to change in my life. And I knew drugs and alcohol needed to disappear from my life because they were always making me suffer.
Did you, not to get off the subject, but did you have family support, Raul, or where were you with that?
Yeah, so my father, my mother, and my biological sister had all passed away by the time things got really bad.
Whoa,
so
okay.
There really was no family to kind of tap me on the shoulder or to check in on me and say, hey, things are getting pretty out of control. And friends reached out to me, but a friend can only shake you so hard to try to wake you up. And we hurt the ones that get close to us, whether it's family or friends. And long-term friendships that I had, I lost in my addiction. And I'm so grateful for my recovery today because I've been able to make an amends and recapture some of those friendships.
Well, did you end up going to state prison, or did you?
I did, yeah. In my incarceration, I decided to start building a spiritual life for myself, and started praying to God to give me enough time to let me transform.
Right, to clear your mind.
Yeah, clear my mind to overcome this disease of addiction. And instead of putting a timeline on, I hope I'm out in 6 months or 1 year, I just started praying like, God, give me enough time to heal, to figure this out. And
how long were you incarcerated?
So I got sentenced to 20 months by Judge Vaughn. And even though Judge Vaughn gave me the sentence, I say, God delivered it. And it was just enough time for me to really get my mindset together. And like I said, I don't have much family, so I didn't do much communicating with the outside world while I was incarcerated. However, I knew I had one friend that I grew up with that had struggled with addiction and had overcome it. And I didn't know what his life looked like over the last few years because I had been really heavy in my addiction, but I knew that he had been well. So he was the person that I reached out to.
When you got released?
When I got released, right.
Okay.
Right. And he came and had breakfast with me and said, I'll share with you what I did. And what he did has gone, he went to sober living. He entered a 12-step program of recovery. He led other people to access to help him and impact his life. And
now, what is let's back up a little bit because some people don't know. The sober living facilities, and we're going to get to what you do now too, but what are sober living facilities?
So sober living are an environment of accountability. People voluntarily say that they're interested and have a desire to change their lives.
Right.
Most all will always struggle with drugs or alcohol. And you sign up to just have mentorship, accountability, and a place to kind of rehabilitate your life. And it's really a lot easier to do it while you're in an environment of other people that are doing the same thing.
Sure.
So we can encourage each other, we motivate each other, we inspire one another. And I remember sitting in the parking lot of the sober facility that my friend was dropping me off at and having a conversation with him. And he said, Raul, he's like, I promise you that if you do everything that they tell you to do here, and you really latch on to it. He said, you could possibly run a place like this someday.
Yeah, which we're going to get to.
Right,
which we're going to get to.
Which, I just showed up and I did what I was told to do.
Well, let's back up a little bit. Talk to us, if you will. Okay, you go to prison, you get released. Do they give you some money so you can get food? I mean...
Yeah, so I was on probation.
Right.
So I had to kind of overstep some hurdles of transferring my probation to the county that I wanted to reside in.
Right.
And I have a half-sister, which is really the only family that I really consider I have left. And she offered me some financial support, but it was really only so much. And when I was going into sober living, I had, a friend that supported me to a degree as well.
But I think the point is, when you're released from prison, that you're not.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that no one sets you up
for any kind of plan.
I mean, you've done your time. Have a good day. Not here's a job to help you. Here's some transportation.
So there was no one to have a conversation with. So I understand what your question is, and I got out with like a hope and a prayer, and I had no one to talk to me to come up with a plan of this is where you can go to live. I was literally released and given my property and let go to walk on the street with no phone, no money. I was released from DOC and I had a misdemeanor charge in Martin County, so I had to be transferred back. So it's not like I got the $50 that they even offer you coming out of the Department of Corrections.
Wow.
So I was really given nothing. When the time I was walking out, I was given a pair of pants and a shirt and a package with some documents in it.
Had you made up your mind at that point, Raul, that you were done with drugs and alcohol?
I did, but I still had some anxiety around it because I had woken up many a day over my addiction, saying I'm done with drugs and alcohol and I don't want to do this anymore.
But did.
And did it again in the morning,
Right.
But the 20 months that I had gave me a lot of time separated from the substance, and I knew that there was a way to overcome this because others had done it, and that's what made me make that phone call to that certain friend. I said, I feel like he has a way to overcome this. But I didn't have a plan, and I'll tell you, if I didn't have the support that I had in very minimum capacity, I would have been very lost, and it's really easy because...
And easy to... I don't know. People don't understand that that, you know, you commit a crime, you should be punished.
Agreed.
We all agree. And you don't, when you get released, when you've completed your sentence, your intent is not to go out and burglarize or do drugs or anything like that. But because there is no plan and no direction, oftentimes, you know, people get caught back up in that because
it's a desperate situation, and
yeah, it's a desperate situation.
When you're desperate and you're wired with, you know, a criminal mentality, you'll go back to what
because it's easier,
and it turns into your survival instincts. Like, you know, like if you don't know how to gain an income any other way, if you don't know how to, you know, survive in life any other way, you steal, you rob, you make bad decisions, you don't care for others to take from them, and yeah, I mean, it could have went a completely different direction for me, and you know, I get to help a lot of people on the platforms that I sit in today, and I like being a part of that process where I can have conversations with people that are incarcerated to start working on a plan on the other side of the fence.
Right.
But I don't, you know, I didn't have it for me. I tell you, I was blessed to have a friend that was kind of that voice for me.
Yeah, let's talk about, because we want to talk about Life Builders Assistance too. But your friend got you first and foremost, and I think this probably was the biggest step, into a sober living facility. Okay.
Yeah.
And so you were taken in, and now did you have to pay? How did you pay for that?
So there's fees when you walk into a sober living. Most will give you an opportunity to try to get on your feet, but there's always a financial obligation to them.
Right.
And Life Builders, this is kind of where Life Builders comes in. I can remember my first week, I was given a phone number for Life Builders and told to reach out to this organization that can probably help you in some different capacities. And I had a conversation with them, and I actually met with them at the Indian River County Courthouse in person and filled out an application and did an assessment, and they just said, you know, where are you at and what are some of the needs that you have, and I shared that I had just gained employment, however it was, you know, very minimum wage and also very minimum hours, that I was, you know, I had financial obligations for the sober living, and that I had just got employment. I didn't even have work clothes. Like, I didn't have the type of clothes to facilitate me going to this job yet.
Well, and let me interrupt you. You know, that's one of the big things that you know, unless you've been in trouble, unless you've been in your situation or do what we do, people don't understand. It can be, you can be well-intended and want to change your life and want to get this job, but if a requirement to get it, let's say they hire you, but you have to have steel-toed work boots that cost, what, $175 now, that can make the difference between success and failure.
Yeah,
I mean, a minimal thing such as that can make all the difference.
It can be job or no job. It really can.
Right.
And when I showed up and I sat down with Barbara Galloway, it was a conversation of where I was at and what were my needs. And I had just gained employment. However, I didn't have transportation to employment yet. I didn't have the right kind of clothes or boots to go to work.
Right.
And I was still facing a financial obligation, which those stressors of, what am I supposed to do here? I'm trying to do the right thing. However, I feel like I'm falling backwards. I'm taking, you know, 10 steps back and no steps forward. Is really how I felt. But so grateful for the organization that Life Builders is.
No. So you got your job, you got in sober living, and you were successful. So how long were you in that? Because we got to talk about what you're doing now, which is so powerful. I mean, from prison 6-7 years ago to sober and a great CEO. That's big deal stuff. But anyway, go ahead.
I want to really shine a light on Life Builders for what they did for me, though, because they bought me a pair of boots for work. They bought me some work clothes that made sense. You know, I had a couple of cool, nice outfits, but I didn't want to ruin those nice clothes that I had. I mean, I literally came out with nothing. So I'm like, they bought me a pack of T-shirts and some shorts to go to work with. They bought me a bicycle, and they even contributed to 2 weeks of my rent in order for me to kind of just get even. So I didn't have any fees due in the rears. And all those things are a part of my story that I'm so grateful for. So thank you personally for all that you guys do with Life Builders.
Well, thank you.
But I lived in sober living for 6 months.
Right.
And I realized that there was an industry that moved around helping people, and I knew that I wanted to be a part of it. So I tried to start to position myself to create the opportunity for me to move in that industry. And I did that by taking on an internship at a local substance abuse center.
Oh, what a great, yeah, that's terrific.
Yeah, and within 1 week, that internship turned into employment. So I went from that very part-time minimum wage job to, you know, a much better paying job with full work hours available to me.
Wow.
And from there, within that same week, somebody that had a sober living that needed a director or a house manager for it offered me a position to just kind of take over an operation for them.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Now, did you have any schooling or anything to prepare you for this other than the hard knock schooling?
Yeah, it really was a school of hard knocks. So I'm a high school graduate.
Right.
Never attended any college. However, I have a lot of lived experience with addiction, right? My own personal story.
Right.
And that season just starting to become overcoming and learning and more about addiction and the disease and coping skills and the stressors of life and how we deal with them. And how to overcome them myself,
right,
and eventually transmit that to helping others. I'm a big believer in the 12-step program and the 12 steps.
And let's talk about, because you know, that's overlooked, but it's so
powerful.
Powerful, and it's so basic, and it's been around for so long. I mean,
it is, yeah. The founders of that program are from the 1930s. You know, the book was written in the 1930s.
Yeah.
And it's really powerful literature, and it's eventually just...
Imagine, I mean, think about that, though. I mean, that you know, we've got all this science and all this research and all these people that, and everything's, I believe in all of that, too. And certainly we get smarter and do better with you know, research and science and all of that. But that was so long ago, and it's still effective. It's still the thing that works.
It is, and it's definitely what worked for me, and it's life-changing.
Yeah.
For me, I tell people all the time, this is the cheat code for life for an alcoholic addicted mind. It let me look at myself and my life. It gave me a new set of lenses on life where I own my wrongs, I make amends.
Right, right.
I see others as people, and I treat people better because I understand that I've done wrongs in life, and I give people more grace to be human. But it also is a program where you're supposed to transmit this to others, and it made me, you know, altruistic, where I care about other people overcoming this disease as well.
Right.
And when I recognized that there was something that moved around helping others, I really got interested in wanting to be a part of it. And that employment turned into higher degrees of success for me. I started a very small local treatment center.
And this is in Vero or here?
This is in Indian River County.
Okay, okay. Yeah. How many beds? Well,
so that program had about 20 beds.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And you run that, or were running it?
No, so I was an outreach coordinator there.
Okay.
Which is essentially business development.
Okay.
And I went from doing business development for that organization to a much larger corporate organization, a national provider for substance abuse.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I worked for them for about a year. And roughly about a year and a half ago, and I had a desire to try to be more a part of. I wanted to be part of a team that built programming that, you know, could have a really strong clinical component and could really reach clients in a different way. And I met a friend and now partner at church one evening, and we shared the same desires. And didn't realize, you know, his reach, but he had been very successful in his life, and he had a tie to an investment group, and we started having conversations about what it would look like if we wanted to create something like this in Indian River County.
Wow.
Yeah, so roughly in January of 2023, we opened up Pure Health, which is an outpatient substance abuse provider.
It's PUR, right?
PUR Health.
Okay.
Right, right.
And go ahead. How many beds is it?
So it's a 50-bed facility.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we offer substance abuse treatment, and we also offer outpatient psych services. So we want to reach people that struggle with substance abuse and also behavioral health, mental health issues.
Right.
So we have 2 separate offices, and one is an SUD campus.
What's SUD?
Substance abuse disorder.
Okay.
Yeah. So one is specifically just for substance abuse, and another building that's specifically just for mental health.
Okay, and where is this located, Raul?
So it's all in downtown Vero Beach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And if you're familiar with Vero Beach at all,
Sure.
there's like a historic building that's known as the Chocolate Factory.
Right.
We're in the old Chocolate Factory.
And are you full now? Are you getting full?
We're getting full. Yeah, we're on our way to filling, our beds and being able to impact and help a lot of people.
Now, what if someone wants? Do you take insurance? I mean,
Right.
what about someone who's homeless or a public defender client?
Yeah, so we get to help a lot of people, and everybody looks different. Some people have health insurance. Some people have the means to be able to pay for services, and other people are completely indigent. And we think there's a way to help all of them. And that's the platforms that I sit on, and we haven't touched the other one yet, is I think there's always a way to reach somebody that has a desire for help, that has the desire to change your life. And with Pure Health, we are insurance-based. So most clients would need health insurance to be able to afford to come to us.
Right.
However, we are always open to helping somebody that has a high desire to change. And we offer scholarships from time to time. When we opened and launched, we offered probably 5 or 6 scholarships because we wanted to start filling our beds and helping the community. And we also just wanted to start reaching people. So we always are open to offering scholarships, but we're primarily an insurance-based facility.
Now, what was the other thing you wanted to talk about?
So the other thing is, just to backtrack to my friend that was in the parking lot with me, that told me, Raul, if you do everything you're supposed to do here, you could possibly run a place like this. And when I mentioned that I got the house manager position, that transformed into the operator and owner of that organization, just saying that he was done with it and wanted to let go of the organization. And I had a chance to kind of step up and take over the entire operation. And I'm currently the owner and operator of Sober Development, which is a FAR accredited men's recovery residence.
Whoa, so you're kind of running two.
Yeah.
Whoa.
I sit on 2 platforms, but the thing is they parallel each other so well that it's all about helping people.
Now, where is that one located?
So we have 2 properties in Indian River County. And we get to work a lot with people that are like me. I hate to say that I have like a favorite type of person to help, but
of course you do.
I get an opportunity to help people that look just like me, that come out of incarceration, that are in that season of rebuilding their life, that don't have much family support, and I can give them an inspiring story, and I can give them the insight and even connect them to the organizations like Life Builders that help me. And I've gotten a chance to work with the prison reentry. I've gotten a chance to work with the reentry program for the Treasure Coast. And over the years here, just starting to really build those relationships that let me impact those that I want to reach.
Well, there's it takes a village to, whatever. There are so many, there's so many things that you can utilize to get people on the right track, to get the help they need. So, but going back to your story and Life Builders' requisite to get help, if you will, is that they have to be like you in the sense that it's not somebody that hasn't made a decision that they want to get on the right track and be drug and alcohol free, that they're just wondering where they are. That help is for people like you that got out, that said, I want to change. I want to make a difference. I want to be different, And if people have that desire, they're going to be successful, with even a little help. But so go ahead. I didn't mean to.
I have my success story, but I've also been witness to so many other success stories because the 2 platforms that I sit on, I get to reach a lot of people.
Now, the other platform that you just now have talked about, is that insurance-based too, or?
No, so that's all self-pay. And organizations like Life Builders step up and help folks come into sober living, paying for, a few weeks of their rent, the same that they did for me. And we also scholarship folks sometimes that don't qualify for Life Builders to give them that grace of a couple of weeks to get on their feet. And then sometimes we'll reach out to family and for family support.
Now, with both these programs, Raul, what is the length of stay normally?
So with Pure Health and the clinical program, clients can stay, typically a range of 90 to 120 days. Really intensely focusing with therapies and, individual counseling and group counseling to focus on their substance abuse problem. And what that usually looks like when they complete that is transferring to something like a sober living if they wanted to continue the accountability, the support,
Right.
and access to help. And I've had guys inside of my sober living be with me for up to 2 years. And
Wow.
there really isn't a time limit on when they're supposed to phase out.
And the same with the other program?
Right, we want to stay connected because
Right.
some of what I've learned over time with addiction is it's the opposite of addiction is connection. If you feel connected to an organization, if you feel connected with a sense of purpose or responsibility for helping others stay sober as well, it helps you perpetuate progress and growth. So,
Well, I have to ask this, and believe it or not, we got 2-3 minutes left. It goes so fast. But obviously you're up the food chain as far as running these programs. But do you personally go in and
absolutely.
Yeah.
Every day.
Okay. Well, tell us.
Every day. So I personally at the treatment center, I'm there daily. I'm part of the development team that brings in the clients, so I'm usually the first point of contact, and I love that front row seat to watching the progress. So I get to say, hey, how you doing? How's it going? Or I can see something different about you today, like you're looking good, and I see the self-care show up.
Right,
and,
right.
I'm there on a daily basis, and likewise on the other platform, the Sober Living. I'm there every day doing walkthroughs on the property, talking with the guys. Again, I'm the first voice that they speak to over a phone.
And telling them your story.
And sharing my story and sharing the requirements from them if they were to come into housing with us, and also encouraging them and inspiring them at the same time. But getting to tell them that they're doing a good job as their lives are progressing, or they got a $1 raise at work, and hey, that's what's supposed to happen. You're doing it right. You're showing up, and
Right.
doing the right next best thing to the best of your ability. And yeah, I'm very involved, and that's part of what has helped me to stay well.
Right.
Even though I sit on both of these platforms, I also do service work that's in my program required from me to stay well. So,
well, it's funny when you use that term to stay well. It kind of hits a chord because people just want to say stay sober, and that is what it is. Mm-hmm. But it is having addiction is a health issue, and when you're going down that road, you're not healthy. You're not well.
I can be completely chemical sober and start making all the bad decisions that lead me all the way back there, and it can start with small dishonesty. So when I say stay well, I know that it means a lot more than just chemical sobriety. It's my mental health. It's my emotional health. It's even my financial health. Like how am I managing my finances? Am I doing the right things in life? And there's a lot of facets in recovery for somebody that really wants to change their life long term.
Oh no, this is great. Well, I'm so proud of you. I have to end with that because I am, and I'm so glad we were a part of the equation. Real quick, any more plans? Or are you going to stay here for now?
I think I'm going to stick around and continue to try to help people. That's the plan.
Okay, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Raul, and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Donna.